Not very much lately, but I mean, I used to, when it was the original cast. And a lot of people, I'm one of what you call one of those true fans. I'll watch every time a new episode is on. And whether you're here for it or not, I just want to give you my perspective and the Blakk Dimension's perspective on this past Sunday's episode. The Walking Dead season 10, episode 9. It was the mid-season premiere, and the episode was entitled "Squeeze." Uh, if for those of you who tuned into the episode 8, at the end of the episode, Carol and Daryl and the gang were in, which consists of Aaron, Connie, Kelly, Magda, Jerry, um, and Daryl. They were in the forest and just basically on a mission. And Carol saw Alpha, and Carol gave chase and got them in that predicament in the cave full of walkers. Basically, that's where Alpha's horde is. So episode starts out. Alpha orders some of the troops. If they come out, make sure they don't come out. So they have to find another way out of the cave. Which this episode is very tense. Very tense. Magna immediately blames Carol, which she should have. Which she should have, because Carol is starting to act like an impulsive child. I mean, it's like it had a very and let me say this. This episode was very well acted. I would have to say one of the key scenes was Carol and Daryl. They're sitting here talking, and Daryl saying key things to Carol. Carol was like, I can't help but just think about it. She said she doesn't want to kill Alpha. She wants to hurt Alpha. And Daryl was explaining, it's like I can't, I have to keep my eyes on you. I don't know what's gonna happen next. Saying, you just run it off. And now you're getting people hurt. I need to know if you're on my side. We don't fight for revenge. We fight for our future. And Carol doesn't seem to get that. Daryl saying, we've been through the same stuff. I've been through some of the same stuff. It's no need for all of this. There's no need for all of this. So, they uh, they dealt with their troubles. They dealt with their troubles in the cave. It's been revealed that Carol is claustrophobic, so she's dealing with that on top of her uh, impulsiveness. And I was like, wow, if this keeps going like this, somebody's not going to make it out of the cage. I mean, make it out of the cave. Yeah, they. It was like one mistake and they were dead. That's how tense. That's how tense this episode felt. Like, leaping from rock to rock to avoid the walkers that were crawling all over the place. And I mean, they had to have Jerry do that too. Jerry, who is usually like, he's a lighthearted, like, human sense of the show. And, he was in a situation where he could have very well died himself. But, we shall see as the episode progresses. Um, having to find, like having to squeeze through various holes and crevices. And yeah, the disadvantages of being a larger person, almost took Jerry, because Jerry got, as they were squeezing like through one of the crevices. First of all, Carol, she was being a problem because she was claustrophobic and she couldn't quite make it through there. But then Jerry had to go through, and Jerry got stuck because the hole was so small, and he had 2 feet, I mean 2 walkers, literally nibbling at his feet. But they did get Jerry out of there, thank God. Please don't kill Jerry. uh, but anyway, let's. There's really 2 stories going on in this episode. The the group that had to get out of that cave full of walkers, which was where Alpha's horde was, and Negan and Alpha. Uh, Negan, in this episode, overheard Alpha and Beta talking about a possible spy, because the group was able to get that far. And you know, Beta, it's just Beta. He's the second guy, But I just feel like I feel like Beta's kind of stupid. Okay, I'm just, he's the muscle, but he's just brawn and he's no brain. He's not thinking about anything. I mean, but Beta is bang on about one thing. I would say he wants Negan dead. He wants to get rid of Negan. But the one thing standing in his way is Alpha, which I really think Beta is trying to be one of those guys that you know, want to be like, oh yeah, me and Alpha one day we're riding in on a horse, killing zombies everywhere, and letting humans know that it's chaos from here on out. But anyway, Negan overheard that, and he walks up on Alpha, actually using the bathroom. It was so funny because Negan, the way he interjects himself into a scene. So he was basically like, I can't help but overhear you talking, but the one person that's not here, you probably got it's probably an inside job, somebody inside the camp, and basically pointed his finger to Gamma. And when she got back to the camp, Beta said, well, such and such hadn't been back in so long, and they were able to do this and do that, and she was like, oh, okay, you're onto something. So she takes Negan out into she sends Beta to go to retrieve Gamma, and this is why I say Beta's so stupid. Now, one particular comic book spoiler is ahead. So if you haven't read the comic book and you fully intend to read it at this point, just to see what parts of the story in the episode and parts of the comic book are different, you go right ahead. But I'm gonna share a comic book spoiler. So she walks out in the middle of the forest, and I always kind of suspected that Alpha did feel some kind of way about Negan. So so Negan, at one point, he's sitting up there, he's talking, he got his back turned to her, walking. She said, keep going. And then she drags him out in the middle of the forest, say, get butt naked. And then Negan think this is it. That's why he has such a worried look on his face. And then, he gets butt naked. She does him like, Rodney Quills Dinkins does everybody at a dice game. Tell him to get butt naked. So he got butt naked. He turned around. She has nothing on except the mask. She said something to him to the effect of, you're a crass man. I thought you would like crass, or something like that. And Negan said something to the effect of, yeah, I find this strangely weird and attractive, and he's unbothered by it. And, shoot, they do it in the middle of the forest. I mean, there were no sheets, no pillow, just, I guess, straight up, I guess Negan stood up in it. and that's, like I said, this is what makes Beta so stupid, Alpha is showing the woman side of her. She's very manipulative. She knows how to make men move, but honestly, she doesn't know what Negan is really there for at the time. She is caught up in being a woman. She needs to be pleased and satisfied. And here's what it is. I've read these parts in the comic, and I'm thinking, okay, here comes the spoiler. Is this how Negan is going to kill Alpha? Is she gonna come out into the forest? Is it gonna be like it happened? Is it gonna be that rapey, thing that they have with the whisperers, and Negan takes exception to it because he had a no rape rule in his camp, and Alpha comes out to the forest, says, Negan, basically, you gotta go, you're kind of weak for this, and Negan puts that psychology on her, gets under her skin, and she's like, oh, okay, well, wow, da da da, and Negan puts that knife in her neck and chops her head off. Negan did say something that is kind of a call to it right before, I guess, they had sex. He was like, this isn't some kind of praying mantis thing. Once we're finished, you chop my head off. And then she didn't answer, and he was like, I couldn't help but notice that you didn't say no to that. So she was just basically like, stop talk. Well, tell them to stop talking. Yeah, which I thought it was a very hilarious scene. And Negan's not. I mean, Negan, not Negan. Alpha, she's not my type, but I guess everyone's type in the zombie apocalypse. So, like, he was like, it'd been a long time. Think about it. Negan had been locked up for what, 6 years before that, by the other camp. But the show really, honestly, to me, is like, I like the way the show is written. It's just that I could have did without a lot of the character deaths. I really still think that the death of Henry is, kind of stupid. I thought it was kind of stupid, and Carol, yeah, it made Carol kind of stupid too. It's like the direction they're really going with her character right now has really taken away from the badassery that she's known for. Um, like she was, like, I don't know, earlier in the show, like in season two, when Sophia passed, when Sophia was killed. Um, Carol was at the point where she was an abused woman that that her daughter had just died, and she came back from that. And Henry's death kind of broke her because she raised him as a son, and she wants nothing more than to see Alpha dead. And and the and the and the and the her growing need for revenge is starting to cost people. They're in that situation because of Carol. And one thing that really pissed me off about Carol is after Daryl asked her, look, you need to be on our side. I need to know if you're going to be on our side. And Carol was like, yeah, I'm on your side. And she runs off again. They have to get through a part of a cavern that was it was unstable. That like it was blocked up by rocks and 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 and, and, and boards and pieces of wood. So they had to they had to be careful because the deaf girl, she was like, okay, if Connie was like, look, if we move the wrong part of this, this all collapse on top of us. So while they're trying to get out there, Carol runs off again. She tries to go to like the top part of the cavern right before like the herd, like a big part of the herd was down, and she tried to set up a stick of dynamite, light it on fire, basically sacrificing herself on like a large percentage of Alpha's herd. But she slips and falls and fails at the task, and Daryl is there to pull her back up. Daryl's like, "Look, do you want to die?" She was like, "Oh, she killed my boy, blah blah blah." And here it is again. So Connie goes back. Connie goes back to help Daryl and Carol, and you know, I guess the stick of before that the stick of dynamite fell blows up, but all the instability that Connie warned about started to happen. So uh, uh, Daryl and so basically they had to get out of there. Everything was collapsing around them, and then they are attacked again, like for the second time by some whisperers that had been trailing them inside the cavern. Magna and Connie stays back to fight them off. Um, Jerry, who is playing the role of the Incredible Hulk. So I got to give Jerry the MVP for this episode. Is holding up everything so the others can get out. They fight Connie and Magna fight off the other Whisperers. Jerry slips out the cage, and the box with the remaining dynamite gets hit, and boom, explodes, trapping Connie and Magna inside. Um, uh, it does. I watched it twice. It doesn't appear that Magna and Connie. There's a possibility they may be alive, but those were explosives, and it was already like an unstable part, so it could be possible that Connie and Magna are buried alive and suffocating to their deaths. But at the end of the day, this right here was all Carol's fault. Her selfishness led to, possibly the deaths of two people, and it did not have to happen in the first place if she didn't fall for alpha shit. So here we are waiting to the next week of The Walking Dead. I don't know if Connie and Magna are really dead. It's a high possibility, but it's also a high possibility that they could have pulled a Glenn on us. You know, Glenn under the dumpster. If you've watched that episode, you know what I'm talking about. But takeaway from this episode also is that Negan is fully inside of the Whisperer camp in more ways than one. Beta, you're a simp. You just you do all the heavy lifting. You're gonna get that reward one day, just not the way you want it. And shoot, Carol needs to. Here's my predictions: possibility that the two girls are still alive. Carol might try to find a way to get them out of that the cave for the possibility of them living. But looking forward to how everything turns out. I know The Walking Dead has had a decline in viewership, but the writing for this season is really good. But I will give this episode a 7 out of 10. It had an emotionally heavy ending. Like I said, the acting and the execution was just is the best on television right now. But I would give this particular episode like a 7.5 out of 10, just because I'm pissed off with the Ray Carols being done right now. But anyway, that's it. I will be reviewing the next week's episode. Please be looking for that on the following month, maybe Sunday night, but the following Monday or Tuesday. When things get better, we'll get more on a routine, and you know, then you'll be getting more than The Walking Dead. I tell you that much. So, anyway, this is Kev. This is the Blakk Dimension. I hope you enjoyed my review. Leave some comments below, and we'll be seeing you again soon. Thanks for watching.